The things that I think about, people are human. I was thinking, all right, you can't ask doctors questions. And then when I took a leadership role, I was worried about impressing my boss. The reality is we're all human. We all have strengths that we can lean on, and we all have things that we've got to work on. And I think if I had known that from the start, I would have been a lot more myself in whichever role it was I was in, whether it was sales, whether it was marketing, or my first leadership role.
Hi everyone, welcome to Finding Pharma, your prescription for success in the pharmaceutical industry. Today we're joined by a remarkable leader in the pharmaceutical industry, Byron Muntz. He's a leader that I personally look up to and aspire to be. I know he always tells me to be myself, but honestly, if there's someone I want to emulate, it is Byron. And so firstly, welcome Byron, and thank you for being on. I really appreciate it.
It's great to be here.
And as I was preparing for this interview, I did look over your rap sheet. So for the viewers, I hope you don't mind me sharing that with them. And over the next 15 to 20 minutes, Byron is kindly going to share his near 25 years of experience in the pharmaceutical industry with us to give, advice, inspiration on how you can not only break into the pharmaceutical industry, but also have a successful and rewarding career. So if I start from the very beginning, Bachelor of Economics at Melbourne. On the work front, spent a lot of time at Lilly, almost 17 years, and if I cut that in half, 8.5 across sales and marketing, and the back 8.5, you're a bit of a journeyman. Moving to the United States of America, 2 years regional commercialization director, and then followed by global brand director, before coming back to Australia into Sydney and working across marketing director roles and business unit heads. More recently, the country head of value and access and strategic planning at Novartis. And as I look over this super impressive career, there are so many achievements that I could pluck out. But if there's one that sticks out in my mind, it's number one in new molecule listings on the PBS. A huge, huge achievement. And so I set myself the task, how can I describe to the audience Byron in one word? And it was impossible. So I love a good acronym. And the acronym that I came up with, what is Byron really good at? What is his unique selling proposition? What is his superpower? And the acronym I came up with was ASS. That's ASS. And for the American viewers,
Very appropriate.
For the American viewers, I know it's pronounced ass, but why I say that,
David.
I say it with the utmost respect, because as I mentioned, Byron is a leader who I'd love to emulate myself. But the A, it stands for access, and I know that's something you're really passionate about, bringing new medicines that revolutionize healthcare for Australians, and you were involved in the first and only gene therapy in Australia, which is something you should be really proud of. The first S stands for strategy, whether that's strategic development or setting up strategic partnerships. You're obviously very good at that. And the last one I think that impresses me the most is self-awareness. And if we talk about, good leaders, I think not only are they self-aware, they're mindful, they're good at self-reflecting, they know how to self-regulate, and you are obviously an expert in that, and something that really stands out in my mind.
Well, you did a good job of turning ass into something that I can actually connect with there, David, because I was a bit nervous for a second. But yeah, all of those things are fundamentally important to me, and I find them energizing.
Yeah. Actually, if I can add one more S to that, it's something that I know you're very passionate about, and that's sport.
Yeah.
Whether it's, gymnastics, AFL, swimming, walking, you're a prolific walker.
I am. I love to walk. I think a lot of problems can be solved by getting out there walking and thinking about things.
Yeah. And if Byron could have his way, I think today's conversation would have been fueled by coffee, curiosity, and walking. But we've only got the first two for today.
It's okay.
So bear with us. A quick disclaimer before we start. The views expressed in this interview are solely those of myself and our guest. They do not reflect the views or official stance of our employers. Our guests have not been compensated for their participation in the interview, and any discussion is purely for educational purposes only. Now, let's get into the questions. If I can transport you back in time, Byron, thinking about, maybe just before you ticked Bachelor of Economics on your university application form, what do you wish you had done or even known before you entered the pharmaceutical industry?
The things that I think about are that people are human. So when I entered, I was thinking, all right, you can't ask doctors questions. And then when I took a leadership role, I was worried about impressing my boss. Like I was sort of trying to do things to make them happy. The reality is we're all human. We all have strengths that we can lean on, and we all have things that we've got to work on. And I think if I had known that from the start, I would have been a lot more myself in whichever role it was I was in, whether it was sales, whether it was marketing, or my first leadership role.
Yeah, I love that. Being true to yourself.
Being true to yourself. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, a lot of the viewers on this channel, one of the struggles they have is having no experience in that catch-22 when they apply to a job and they feel they're being rejected because of not having that experience.
Yeah.
What advice have you got for them? They're applying for their first pharma role.
Yeah. By the way, most people out there that are applying for their first pharma role have no experience. So take some comfort in that. The thing that I think you can do to separate yourself from the rest of the applicants is show that you know the company, show that you've been thoughtful, look at the role and what's important in the role, and then look at the experiences you do have that are outside pharma and look to relate those. So that's one way you can actually just speak to the role in a way that is yourself. And I think if that comes across to the interviewer, that certainly gives you a competitive advantage as opposed to just answering the questions.
That's such great advice, Byron. Reassuring. I think just know that you're up against others who don't have experience.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something really important there, doing a bit of research, knowing the company, because a lot of questions that we also get on this channel, and this is from Sammy in Sydney. She wanted to know how much focus should they be putting on, the company, the product, where it is in its life cycle, the therapy area. Any advice on that piece?
So when I'm looking to hire someone into sales, I want someone that can engage, that is curious, that has a way of carrying themselves and can communicate. So as you think about how you want to conduct yourself in an interview, working out how to convey that is important. And I think one thing that gives an applicant confidence is knowing the company that they're interviewing for. So it's simple things like go and watch the earnings reports and things like that. It's a bit boring, but it actually gives you in 20 minutes a really good sense of where the company's headed and can give you a lot more confidence when you're in an interview.
Are there particular things they should be looking for potentially, what's in the pipeline? Because I think a lot of these new starters, they fear, is this job going to be forever, or am I going to be sacked next week because we've lost patent?
Yeah. So I think when you're looking for that first job, the focus should be getting the first job, not worrying about so much what's in the pipeline or, whether there's products that are going to go off patent. So I think there's two answers. So the step back answer when you're in an interview is just get your first job, right? Like go for it, and it's okay. Doesn't matter whether it's a big organization or a smaller organization, one that's got lots of launch products or doesn't.
Yeah.
Get your first job.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is listening to those investor calls, don't worry so much about the financials. Listen to what products are important to them. Listen to what therapeutic areas the company wants to invest in. And again, you don't have to parrot that back to the interviewer, but it's just knowing that gives you a sense of confidence as you're having the discussion.
And so to our viewers, don't just charge in at Novo Nordisk and try get on Ozempic. There are many other therapy areas out there, and you'll probably find less competition since that's what everyone's thinking of. Now, they say great leaders are great learners, and I know you're a great leader. Can you tell us about your focus areas of development?
One of the things that really resonates with me, and the Microsoft CEO, I think he's got a whole book on it, but you can watch a 14-minute YouTube video. He talks about learn it all versus know it all.
Yeah.
So some people are highly intelligent, they've got PhDs, that's so impressive. But for that person, if they're not learn it all, they will be static. And the person that is learn it all will slowly catch up and go past. So I believe in that as a fundamental foundation, like for my own development, but also as we create organizations. I want to be a learn-it-all person, and I want to create learn-it-all organizations where we're both deep on the science in our job, we're focused, but we're also building individual self-awareness so that we know what our superpower is, but also what we have to be deliberate about, what can hold us back.
And if I can take one from maybe sport, would it be hard work beats talent?
Why not?
Yeah.
Well, I think in sport, I think it's hard work and talent.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's where you want people practicing, putting in the hard work, and mixing that with talent. That will always beat talent alone.
Now, my third question, and I think it's really inspiring to just hear your mindset. You know, with the amount of experience that you have, you're still looking to learn, and there's things that you can develop and become better at. For me, as someone that looks up to you, I always wonder, does Byron have any superheroes? Like who could potentially, who could he look up to? If you're open to sharing, is there someone that you look up to in pharma, and why they're such an inspiration to you?
We work with a lot of incredible people. I won't name the names because I haven't asked them, but
That's fine.
But whether it's a sales representative that you see nominated again and again for the top awards, the job is hard. Now it looks fantastic when you're up on stage, but that person, the grit, the resilience, the focus that they've had to have to get there, that is something I see and I think, wow, that's something to aspire to. Marketers, I know how hard the marketing job is. You're in a brand team, there's 100 good ideas, but you can only say yes to 3 of them. And that's the secret of being a marketer. But that means you've said no 97 times.
Yeah.
That's not easy.
Yeah.
So when I see success, whether it's in sales, it's in marketing, leaders that have empathy and performance as the foundation for creating their teams, they're the types of people that I look up to, and I try to go and learn from. I ask them, how did you do that? How did you get there? What did you learn along the way that can help me?
Yeah.
It's like taking a shortcut in a 400-meter race and just cutting the corner. Learn from the best.
Yeah, I love that. That humility, and that you can learn something from
Absolutely
from anyone. And yes, you have my permission for me to be your hero, Byron.
Yeah, well, exactly.
I'm only kidding.
Well, you were the GP sales representative of the year.
Yeah.
So that's not easy. To get that, achieve that, it's great on the night of the awards, but the work that goes into it, I know it's incredibly hard.
Yeah, no, thank you. We appreciate that, and super inspiring. Yeah, just to hear that we're being.
You got that
seen.
out of me.
Yeah, it's on camera. Oh my goodness, I love it. And
that's true.
yeah, and again, I'm so grateful to have you here and for you to share so openly and honestly. And yes, we do have a bit of fun and humour. On the topic of inspiration, looking into your crystal ball in, let's say, 5 to 10 years' time, what emerging trends or advancements do you see shaping the future of the pharmaceutical industry, and maybe in particular for GP sales?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I'll say is I think GP sales is critically important today. So having a sales force, being able to have the relationships, and the GP salesperson being the conductor of the relationship. Yeah. Now, there's always been discussion. I joined the industry in 2002, and everyone has always been saying, GP sales is going to go down. It's not. Yeah. So my first prediction is it will stay, it's important today, and it will stay important. I think what will change around that is we'll be able to look at data in a very different way from a organizational perspective, which will allow our GP salesperson to be even more effective. Yeah. So be able to be with the customer when it matters most to the customer. Yeah. I absolutely see that. And then externally, GPs themselves will have, I think, a lot more access to data. The way they interact with their patients will change. And I think a lot of that will be driven by AI. Yeah. So the ability to take lots of data, drive it down to insights and ask specific questions that allow you to better engage with a patient will be something that GPs will be able to do. And then on a healthcare system point of view, I think we'll see more of that. I think we'll see the rise of the states, so state health, become more important.
Yeah, super fascinating. I think it's reassuring for the audience to know, GP sales is here to stay. Embrace AI, big data. It's only going to make you more effective, not just in your role, but actually your customers are going to be more effective. And how the healthcare system is also going to embrace, or the state groups are going to embrace the new technology. Can I ask, are there any resources, whether that's books, podcast recommendations that you might have for the audience in terms of, whether that's, earnings calls, mindset, Enneagram, any recommendations for the channel audience?
Podcasts got me through COVID. So podcasts and walking,
Yeah.
right? So I would walk, I would listen to podcasts, and I'd ring you or Steve or one of the team. So that's what got me through COVID. So I love podcasts. What I would say is keeping up to date with current affairs. I love politics and current affairs. So there's a Guardian podcast called Politics Today, I think it is. So that's one I'd recommend. If you love the US, there's a New York Times podcast called The Daily, which is both some human interest stories and a lot of the horror of US politics, but very, super interesting, very well researched, just fantastic journalism. On the self-improvement and development, I'm listening to audio book, Dare to Lead by Brené Brown, which is fantastic, and one that, to be honest, I listen to bits and then I actually go back to listen to it again just to sort of really think about what she's saying. I think it's fantastic, and one that you can just consume in 30-minute chunks. It's a great one.
Yeah, awesome. So I'll put a link to those in the show notes as well, in case people missed it. But if you want to sound smart like Byron, make sure you get onto these podcasts and the audio book. Now, my last question.
I'll give you a couple more. You can put in the links.
Yes.
Oh, you want me to give them to you now?
Yeah.
So the imperfects is one, and there's one I'll have to give you after this because I've forgotten it right now. But,
that's okay. Perfect. I'll eagerly anticipate it. Now, for a bit of fun, Byron, and again, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
If you were a pharmaceutical drug, what would your warning label say?
I don't know whether it'd be my warning label, but it'd be on the dosage, and that'd be take first thing in the morning because that's when I'm most effective. Yeah. So that's maybe not a warning, but definitely in the dosage.
Oh my God, I love it. And I think, I could always do with a dose of you in the morning first thing, because you give me a lot of energy, you inspire me, and again, I hope one day I can definitely emulate you. There's so many great characteristics that you have, and I feel so blessed to be under your tutelage, and it's just so humbled that you'll come onto the channel. And on behalf of the audience, thank you so much for your time. I know you're a very busy man, so it's been a pleasure having you, Byron.
Well, thanks for having us. Look, I'll say this, our industry is unique in that you get to do incredibly meaningful work. You get to create a thriving business that is a great place to work, and you get to work with intelligent, driven, and gritty people. And that's something that is incredibly energizing to me, and something that I just, it's what gets me up in the morning and keeps me going.
Yeah.
Thanks, David.
Thank you, Byron. Hey guys, wow, what an interview. To have my boss's boss come onto the channel and so generously share his knowledge and wisdom is just testament to the leader that Byron is. Now, I wouldn't be a very good sales rep if I didn't leave you with a summary, a call to action. So I want to leave you with 3. The first one, the earnings call. I've been in the industry for 8 years and I've never thought to do that. So after the interview, I actually went on YouTube and I found an awesome 5-minute summary explaining all the key priority and focus areas for Novartis. Now, I'm sure those videos exist for the companies that you may want to apply for. Go and check that out. And I guarantee you, you're going to sound smarter than 95% of the other candidates that are out there. The second one I want to leave you with is Byron gave some great tips on how you can stand out in an interview. He talked about highlighting transferable skills, and funnily enough, there's actually a video that I made talking about the 3 top skills that I think interviewers are looking for entry-level roles. I'll leave a link to that in the description, and it's around the 6.5 minute mark where you'll find that. So if you want to skip to there, that's where you'll find those 3 skills. Don't ask me how I know the exact timestamp. The third one is about learning. I think we can all do with a great learning mindset. You know, Byron talked about being a learn-it-all versus a know-it-all. And he himself even spoke about listening to audiobooks twice. And in the second time, how he looks for further insights and further knowledge. Or how he even draws inspiration, not from people above him, but those in roles below him, you know, whether that's sales or marketing, and how he can learn from them. So if there is ever someone that is learning personified, it is Byron. And we can all take a leaf out of Byron's book and adopt a similar mindset. Now, as they say, sharing is caring, and especially when it comes to knowledge. If you took some knowledge away from this interview, please share it with your colleagues, share it with your managers, spread the word about finding pharma, and together, let's revolutionize how people approach their career in pharma.